The drama begins in an all-boys school in Korea, in the classroom of a class that is supposed to have 20 students, and something feels off from the very first minute. The official records list 20 names, but when they do the real head count, there are 21 boys sitting there. And the worst part isn't the number. The worst part is that nobody can agree on who that extra student is, as if he were there and at the same time not there. At first, they treat it like a silly mix-up. They look at each other, count again, point at one another, compare with the list on the board, and even check uniforms, searching for the smallest clue. The problem is that the room doesn't feel full enough to have an extra body, but it also doesn't feel normal. It's a strange feeling, like when you know you left the door open and can't remember if you closed it. And the more they think about it, the more the idea gets into their heads. If there really are 21, then someone has snuck in, or someone is hiding. In that group are Choi Hyun-suk, Park Ji-hoon, Yoshi, Kim Jung-kyu, Mashiho, Yoon Jae-hyuk, Asahi, Bang Yi-dam, Kim Do-young, Haruto, Park Jong-woo, and So Young-hwan. The situation gets more uncomfortable because each one has their own fear. Some are afraid of the supernatural, some are afraid of looking ridiculous, and some simply hate feeling like they don't control anything. Also, almost all of them share a habit in common. They don't like cats or animals that show up out of nowhere, and anything weird, involving eyes in the dark or strange sounds, puts their skin on alert. So, even if they say nothing is happening, their bodies give them away. Jung-hwan, who is always thinking about content for social media and dreams of becoming a YouTuber, decides to talk about it as if it were just a simple classroom curiosity. He starts recording and commenting on the 21, thinking that will bring in views. But when the camera stays pointed at the group, the atmosphere changes. For an instant, the video captures something that doesn't fit. Some kind of presence that can't fully be seen, like a blurry edge around someone, like a face trying to form and then getting erased. It's not a ghost with a sheet or anything like that. It's worse, because it's subtle. 1 second it looks like a lens error, and the next it feels like someone is stuck to them, breathing down their necks. Jung-hwan tries to laugh it off, but it's already obvious he's nervous. And the rest, watching from behind, go silent, as if the noise of the world had suddenly been switched off. Things get more serious when Yi-dam, one of the guys who's always wearing headphones and making recordings, discovers something else disturbing. When he plays back a recording of his own voice, besides his audio there's a strange sound, like a distorted layer underneath, something that shouldn't be there. It's not just microphone noise. It sounds like someone brushing the air or making a weird murmur from deep inside the file. Some say it sounds like a voice from beyond, others say it's background noise, but everyone feels the same discomfort. The classroom is filled with something that refuses to be seen. Yoshi, who can't stand uncertainty, gets intense and suggests calling whatever is hiding. He does it with that mix of bravery and nerves teenagers have when they want to prove they're not scared. Do-young, who usually organizes and keeps order, tries to keep it from turning into chaos, but in the end he gets pulled in too. Together they put together a kind of Ouija-style ritual using a paintbrush and paper, like a map, with the idea that the brush will point to the one who doesn't belong. The scene spirals out of control way too fast. The brush starts moving on its own, like someone is pushing it from the other side. Outside, the rain and wind feel stronger, and suddenly the classroom door slams shut. It's not a, oh, it closed because of a draft. It feels like a deliberate slam. Then things happen that nobody can explain. Sheets and papers start lifting up, spinning through the air, and falling as if the room were a whirlwind. That's when the joke dies. The ones who were recording turn off their phones, the ones who were laughing go mute, and the ones who were acting brave run first. They rush out of the classroom without looking back, sprint down the stairs, and run into something that completely shatters whatever sense of safety they had left. A teacher is lying there, unconscious, like he collapsed. Guilt hits them within seconds. They don't know if it was a blow, a scare, or something worse, but it feels like a direct consequence of what they did. They take him to the hospital immediately. In the waiting room, for the first time they look at each other differently. It's not just fear anymore, it's also responsibility. Nobody says it out loud, but they all think the same thing. If the extra student exists and is angry, they could end up paying a higher price than they ever imagined. That same night, paranoia turns into a mission. It's no longer just classroom gossip. Now they want to find out who the extra student is and get him out of there, because they feel that until they identify him, anyone could be next to get hurt. They meet again and start proposing tests, like improvised detectives, mixing logic with superstition, all at once. Hyun-suk, who thinks he's the most logical in the group, throws out a curious theory. If what's there is a ghost, maybe it reacts differently to certain things. Then a weird test appears that they seem to invent on the spot. They hand out cookies or snacks and everyone has to finish them to prove they're human, like a spirit couldn't do it. It's a pretty ridiculous plan, but it comforts them to think they have control. And while they eat, they watch each other with suspicion, looking for the smallest detail. Who chews slowly, who avoids swallowing, who just sits there holding the cup like it's poison. The test doesn't confirm anything, but it does leave an effect. Distrust creeps in between them. Suddenly, any normal oddity, a yawn, a tremble, a blank stare, gets interpreted as a supernatural sign. And then another clue shows up. There's a classmate who's been acting strange for days. He wakes up at night and keeps drawing the same image obsessively, over and over, like he can't stop. The next day, Hyun-suk tries something else. Measuring everyone's temperature before entering the classroom, convinced a spirit would be colder. When the boy who draws arrives, who turns out to be Asahi, the device shows an unusual cold reading. His hand feels icy and his skin looks dull. Hyun-suk doesn't say anything out loud, but in his head Asahi goes to the top of the suspect list. And in groups like that, rumors run faster than truth. So within minutes everyone is staring at Asahi like he's guilty. As if adding gasoline to the fire, Jung-hwan walks past the art room and sees Asahi painting with an intensity that's impressive. Instead of calming things down, Jung-hwan gets excited. He thinks it's perfect material for his channel. In his mind, what he's seeing looks like a ritual. Strong strokes, strange movements, and a focus so heavy there's no room for jokes. When Jung-hwan shows that video, the accusation becomes collective. Days go by and the classroom becomes more and more uncomfortable. In one class they play a science video and, for a second, a strange figure appears on the screen like someone sneaking into the frame. Some laugh so they don't have to admit they're scared, others deny it and say it's just video glitches. But inside, everyone tenses up. On top of that, exams are coming and they're supposed to be focused. But how does anyone focus when it feels like someone invisible is sitting right beside them? The pressure explodes when a wounded cat appears near a window and there are red stains that would scare anyone. Nobody knows if it was an accident or if someone put it there to provoke them, but the impact is real. At that age, seeing something like that, even if it's not horror, feels intense. Then they see a drawing in red tones, like an image made with too much rage, and the whole classroom starts to feel like a movie scene, except this time there's no pause and no way out. And of course, the perfect suspect is still Asahi. Jung-hwan shows the video where Asahi is painting and the group goes after him with accusations. Asahi, exhausted, shows that he has a cross tattoo and even a cross earring, like he's trying to say he's protected. He also makes it clear he's been praying in his own way, asking for any bad energy to leave the classroom. Then he clarifies the cold hand thing. It's not supernatural, it's a medical condition related to sensitivity to cold. Hearing that, several of them feel ashamed, because they realize they were attacking him out of fear, not evidence. But the relief doesn't last long. That night they decide to watch a horror movie in the dorm. Like facing fear together will somehow help. Jung-hwan notices his clips are moving on social media, that people are commenting, and his show switch flips on. He starts a live stream saying there's a real ghost in his group. His followers laugh, take it as a joke, and ask for proof, and he decides he's going to hunt the spirit live. He starts provoking it, like it's a good idea to challenge it. And that's when the atmosphere gets heavy again. A sensor detects movement, something invisible seems to appear and disappear, like a silhouette that won't stay fixed. Jung-hwan trembles, but he keeps recording, because his mind is split between fear and the thrill of having the video of the year. Until the presence heads toward the school and he follows it, walking through hallways that at night sound different, hollower, colder, like every step echoes more than it should. In one of those moments, something dark, like a moving stain, approaches Ji-hoon and slips toward the paper in front of him. It doesn't look like some exaggerated possession, but it does look like something changes, like someone flipped a switch in his head. The next day, for the first time in his life, Ji-hoon gets bad grades. The principal calls him in, asks if he's okay, and tells him he doesn't seem like himself. Ji-hoon promises to work harder, but inside he's convinced something happened to him, because his own mind feels like it doesn't belong to him. Desperate, Ji-hoon looks for help anywhere he can. He contacts a friend whose grandmother is a mudong, someone who supposedly knows how to protect people. For him, it's not a game anymore. He feels like he needs urgent protection. Meanwhile, the group keeps trying homemade solutions. Someone says spirits hate salt, so they fill the classroom with lines of salt like a barrier. Instead of calming things down, it makes the atmosphere even more tense. There are stupid arguments, shoving, bad moods. Nobody sleeps well, everyone shows up irritated, and any shadow becomes suspicion. In the middle of that paranoia, they notice another classmate behaving differently. He avoids touching certain objects, gets nervous when someone brushes against him unexpectedly, and every day he looks more exhausted, like he can't rest. One boy, already traumatized, put spiritual protection on his bed so he can sleep peacefully. That night, that classmate goes in to bring him tea like always. And the moment he touches the bed, he screams in pain like he got burned. He runs out, locks himself in another room, and when he looks at himself, he finds strange marks on his back, like signs that shouldn't be there. From that point on, everything clicks. That extra student was the one who moved the brush during the ritual, the one who made the papers fly, the one who was there without them noticing. There's even a detail that freezes them. In certain mirrors he doesn't show up, and his shadow seems to fail when the light changes. It's like he's real, but not completely. And when a device in the classroom turns on by itself, moving like it's pointing at someone, the indicator returns to the same boy again and again. He stands up pale and swears he didn't do anything. They try to turn the device off, they put it on the floor, but it keeps going like it has a life of its own. For the boys, there's no doubt anymore. This is the work of a spirit. And because the human mind hates blanks, they start filling the space with theories. Maybe the ghost wants attention, maybe it's angry, maybe it's looking for someone specific. Then they hear music coming from inside a locker. They follow the sound and find an object on the floor with red stains, and that same weird sound they'd heard in the recording. Jung Hwan clips it, uploads it to the internet, and gets more views. His channel grows, but inside the school nobody truly believes him, and that frustrates him. He says he wants to protect his class's reputation, but it's also obvious he loves the attention, and that mix gets him into trouble. The group talks about using a more aggressive method to drive the spirit out, something that supposedly can make it so uncomfortable it's forced to leave. Jung Hwan, again, decides to make a joke. He imitates the ghost to scare the others. But the joke costs him. His phone breaks, the signal fails, and he receives a threatening call, like someone is ordering him to stop. In panic, he ends up smashing the phone. That's when it becomes clear the spirit not only exists, it also gets offended when they treat it like a toy. One of the boys receives a bad omen letter, like a warning that something bad will happen to him in a few days. That changes the group's tone. Nobody laughs anymore. Even the ones who said it was all made up start looking at the classroom like it's a dangerous place. When they announce Halloween, they feel like they've already had enough terror for a full year. But participation is mandatory anyway, and the school turns into a parade of costumes. In the middle of the chaos, one boy gets the idea to ask the ghost to scare a rival class so their group can win a competition. It sounds ridiculous, but it also sounds like desperation. When someone is scared, sometimes they try to negotiate with what terrifies them. What nobody expected is that the ghost, pushed by pressure and by the thrill of feeling included, releases its energy for real. And when that happens, things get ugly. It moves at an impossible speed, turns off lights, makes objects slide around on their own, and creates a cold sensation that sinks into the skin. The boys end up on a route that feels like a labyrinth inside the school, with doors slamming shut, a piano playing by itself, and shadows appearing where they shouldn't. At first, some of them treat it like mission accomplished, until they realize the ghost is no longer playing it, scaring its own friends too, like its power has slipped out of control. In the middle of the chaos, two students get left behind. One walks alone through the school, shaking, and when he sees the ghost face to face, he gets so scared he falls down the stairs and hits his head. The rest call the police and say there's an invisible student inside the building, but the officer doesn't want to go in with them. That detail frustrates them, because it confirms what they feel. Nobody outside understands what's happening, and they have to carry it alone. After the accident, the group goes into defense mode. Some want to expel the spirit at all costs, because now they see it as a danger. Others start to doubt, because they notice not everything that happened was malicious. Asahi says he knows a way to reveal the infiltrated ghost. He plays a special melody from his phone, a sound designed to discomfort spirits. The moment it plays, the ghost writhes in pain, as if it's burning from the inside. A friend turns the music off immediately, because even though they're afraid, they don't want to hurt it like that. That moment opens the door to the truth. One of the boys approaches the ghost in private and tells him he'll still be his friend even if he's a spirit, because for him friendship can be stronger than fear. Yoshi, who believes nothing without proof, decides to confirm it. He makes students from another class look toward the spot where the ghost is standing, and nobody sees anyone. That's the proof they were missing. The extra student isn't a rumor, he's real. But not for everyone's eyes. With the evidence on the table, the group meets and confronts him. They demand that he tell the truth. Under pressure, the ghost turns off the lights, moves objects, and finally stops hiding what he is. The boys panic, but they also realize they can't keep pretending nothing is happening. Then the ghost tells his story. His name is Choi Hyun-suk. 10 years ago, he was a student in that same class. but he had an incurable illness and spent much of his life in hospitals. The doctors couldn't save him, and he ended up dying very young. What hurt him most wasn't only being sick. It was feeling alone, dreaming of having friends, and not being able to live a normal school life. Before leaving completely, he wished with all his strength that he could stay a little longer, even if it was just near what he loved, even if it was in silence. Then an even sadder detail comes out. The school security guard is his father. Years ago, devastated by the loss, he left a prayer and a wish in that very classroom, never imagining his son would end up staying behind as a spirit. Hyun-suk explains that the stair accident wasn't intentional. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He just gets desperate when they ignore him, when they use him, or when he feels they're going to kick him out like he's a nuisance. The confession splits the group. One side feels sorry for him and wants to forgive him, because they understand his pain is real. The other side, with the fear still fresh, just wants to expel him and go back to normal. They decide to vote. And the result is a tie, like even the group can't agree with their hearts. When it looks like everything is about to fall apart, the boy from the hospital intervenes. He says what happened was an accident, that he did feel fear, yes, but that he also felt Hyun-suk didn't want to kill him or hurt him. His vote breaks the tie and the group decides the ghost can stay, at least until they finish the year. Hyun-suk returns to the classroom with a strange mix of relief and pain. Relief because they're not kicking him out, pain because he realizes how easily fear can win. During the following days, the classroom lives in a strange calm, like the calm after a storm. The sky looks peaceful, but you know there's still electricity in the air. Some boys try to act normal, like nothing happened, because they're embarrassed to admit they were scared. Others become more protective and start doing small gestures so Hyun-suk won't feel left out. They leave an empty space beside them, save him a chair even if they can't always see him, or write short notes in a notebook so he can read them when nobody is looking. Jungkyu tries to break the tension with humor, like a laugh could cover fear. Jae-hyuk stays quiet, watching every corner of the room, still thinking anything could spiral again. Haruto and Michiho, who at first wanted to get rid of the spirit no matter what, start letting their guard down when they notice Hyun-suk isn't trying to hurt anyone. It feels more like someone learning to coexist without getting in the way. Jongwoo and Yidam, on the other hand, become more sensitive. Any noise reminds them of the hospital, the ritual, the stairs, and you can see on their faces they haven't slept well. Yoshi, who was one of the ones who pushed the whole thing hardest at the start, feels responsible. What weighs on him most is thinking that if they hadn't done the ritual, maybe the teacher wouldn't have collapsed unconscious. He knows he can't undo what happened, but he tries to make up for it. He offers to speak first when decisions have to be made, and to stop Jung-hwan when he goes too far with the phone. Meanwhile, Do-young tries to keep the group united, because he realizes the real danger isn't just the ghost, it's them falling apart inside, turning into enemies because of paranoia. Even so, the question still hangs there. If Hyun-suk wanted friends, why were their moments so violent and out of control? And the answer they slowly start to understand is uncomfortable. The group's fear pushed him too. Every time they ignored him, every time they pointed at him like a monster, the energy in the classroom got heavier. Not because Hyun-suk enjoyed scaring them, but because his desperation grew. And that desperation, in someone who isn't fully human, can get out of hand. And just when he thinks his school life is finally going to truly begin, a new problem appears: the adults. A teacher checks the records and gets confused. On paper it says 21 students instead of 20. She thinks it's an administrative mistake until she remembers the exact moment she wrote Hyun-suk's name as student number 21, almost without thinking. Then she checks old files and discovers that 10 years ago she was a classmate in that same room. That's why she can see him. That's why he isn't invisible to her. That revelation gives her chills, because she feels the school kept that secret for far too long. And then the real day-to-day villain steps in. A teacher who decides the correct thing is to ignore the ghost and erase him by force. He storms into the classroom, yanks away Hyun-suk's chair, shoves him, and threatens to fail anyone who mentions him. He doesn't just scare them, he controls them. He even mistreats the guard, his father, like grief is an inconvenience. The father carries years of guilt, and now on top of that he's humiliated, as if his pain were a crime. Hyun-suk understands his presence is causing pain to the people he loves. He tries to talk to his friends, but they avoid him out of fear of the teacher. It's a hard blow. He finally had friends and now he feels alone again. His best friend leaves him a note apologizing, saying he's lost, that he doesn't know how to stand up to an adult who has power over grades and futures. And that's when another sad change becomes clear. Hyun-suk starts becoming transparent. As if rejection is erasing him. As if his time is running out. Almost nobody can see him anymore. The teacher notices Hyun-suk's name disappears from the list and feels proud, like he fixed the problem. But Hyun-suk doesn't leave that easily. Even though they can barely perceive him, he keeps helping. If a boy drops a ball, the ball floats back. If someone feels cold, a window closes by itself. If someone is exhausted from studying, their cup appears filled. And little by little, the boys realize that presence doesn't always bring fear, sometimes it brings care. Jung-hwan, who used to only want views, begins to feel guilty for provoking him, because he understands that behind the scare there's a person. The teacher, however, wants to finish it once and for all. One night he brings someone dedicated to rituals, sticks talismans on the walls, and performs a ceremony to expel him. The ritual's energy seems to guide them toward a specific place, the locker where Hyun-suk keeps what represents his existence. The person tries to break the container and close the matter, as if Hyun-suk were a mistake to be erased. But the students stand their ground. For the first time, instead of running, they stay. They protect that locker like it's the most important thing in the world. They tell the teacher that Hyun-suk has been helping them this whole time, even when they ignored him, and now it's their turn to protect him. Yoshi, who at first wanted to unmask him, apologizes on behalf of everyone. The others hug him in tears and ask to let him stay until graduation, even if it's only to complete the dream he never got to live. The teacher, even if he doesn't like it, understands he can't break the bond they built together. Hyun-suk's father returns to work with a little more peace, because he knows his son isn't alone anymore. And Hyun-suk finally lives what he always wanted. He listens to classes, shares laughs, helps people study, appears in photos, feels like he exists without needing permission. For the group, something powerful happens too. They learn that what's different isn't always a threat, and that ignoring someone can hurt more than any scare. Time passes quickly. Graduation arrives. In the last photo, Hyun-suk appears smiling, like he finally completed his dream. And after that day, nobody sees him again. Not as a tragedy, but as a quiet closing. As if, once he felt he truly belonged, he could finally leave in peace. And when the classroom goes silent again, everyone understands the real mystery wasn't the ghost, but how they learned to take care of each other all along. And even though the classroom goes back to having 20 students on the list, something remains that can't be erased with ink. The memory that even someone invisible, even someone nobody understands, can find a place to call home, when they're given the chance. End of the drama.